Okay, I think we're live.
Sweet.
Oh wait, let me just copy this link really quick.
Okay.
So I can put it into our group. Why is it so hard to find groups? Okay, it's in the page, so hopefully anyone who didn't make it can watch it now. All right.
Okay.
Is everybody ready? All right, so this is Amanda. She's one of the Love Area DIQs, and we're so excited to have you join us. I'll let you start.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for having me. That's so fun to have a little brunch. I love breakfast. Okay. So you guys are in California. Is that where you are?
Yes.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. So I'm just going to start with my story, I guess. So a little bit of when I got into Mary Kay, why I got into Mary Kay. And I started about 7 months ago. And I started because I had just gotten married, okay, and I was super unhappy at my job that I was at. I was a part-time barista. But before that, let's see, I ended up dropping out of college, about 30 credits shy of my bachelor's degree. So growing up, I grew up in a broken family, and since about the age of 11, and we had just a really unstable childhood, my sister and I. And so in school, I just really hated high school because I never quite measured up or like hit the bar in sports or grades, and home was not a healthy place for me to go. And so I decided to do Running Start and just get my 2 years of college done in high school and just kind of get out of that scene. And then I ended up going to Seattle Pacific University to study nutrition, and the only thing I really wanted out of life was to be a wife, to be a mom, and then also to just have the healthy family that I did not grow up in, because it was very just not fun and very broken. And so studied nutrition to maybe work from home someday. And it's about $45,000 to go to that university because it's a private Christian university. And I had over $12,000 in scholarships to go there, but I ended up dropping out with like $25,000 of student loan debt just after a year. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, once I'm completely done with my education, I'm going to be like $80,000 in debt. And I just want to go off and get married, and I'll have to work in a field that I'm not sure I want to be in. And so I just left the whole thing, and I was just like, okay, Lord, I'm trusting you. Like, I don't know what anything is going to look like when I move home. And so moved home, got a full-time position as a medical assistant, and worked like 40 hours a week, just living very paycheck to paycheck, which was frustrating because I couldn't put anything towards my debt at that time. And I was like, I need to get this out of here. Like, I hate being in debt. And so ended up, the stress of that job really affected my health. And so, yeah, you're good. Sorry, my husband. We have a little 600 square foot apartment, and so there's no office here. So, yeah, ended up, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, worked there for about a year. I don't know of any job that I've held for more than a year. I just kind of like bounced around and never got fired or anything. I just was like, okay, on to the next thing. And I got a job as a part-time barista so that I could actually put tips towards my debt. And this family I went to church with and did CrossFit with, they rented out a little room to me so I could pay like dirt cheap rent and then make some payments on my debt. Around the same time as when I met my husband, and my now husband, and at the time he was like doing his own thing, and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna be friends. And so we did CrossFit together, and January of last year, we started dating, got engaged in May, and then planned my wedding in 3 months, and we got married in September. And went on our honeymoon to Kauai and came back, and I was stuck at the same job. And this job, I'd come home every night crying. It just was not good. The schedule really dictated my life. And the one thing that I asked when I was hired there was that I didn't work a Sunday. And then I came back from my honeymoon, and she had booked me for every single Sunday in October and then some of the Saturdays. And I just felt so disrespected. And I was like, I need some way out, some way that I could work from home. You know, I've tried to start my own photography business before, and it just was like, did not go well. And so I ended up winning a facial through David's Bridal, one that I didn't even know I entered in for. I was just like, oh, cool. And so Michelle Keloff is my director, and she drove 2 hours from Gresham, Oregon up to give me a facial. It was just a one-on-one facial. I had no friends with me. And she came up and she sat across the table from me. I knew nothing about makeup, like didn't know how to contour, didn't know anything about my skin. I always say I had the skincare and cosmetic graveyard under my sink because I never used anything. And so I didn't buy anything and I didn't sign up. And so we just set up a sharing appointment and a coffee time. And I was like, okay, yeah, like this sounds like everything that I've been praying for, but it's skincare and makeup, and I'm not really passionate about that. So I don't see myself being successful at something that I'm not passionate about. And so I was like, we'll go to coffee, whatever. And then we watched Leah Loughlin's marketing video, my husband and I. And I just like connected with her on every level. And I was like, my husband was like, wow, babe, I think that you could be really good at this. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can. And so actually the day before our coffee meeting with Michelle, I canceled. And I was like, nope, like I'm not going to do this. I can't see myself doing this. And the only thing Michelle asked me was like, you know, well, what made you change your mind? And I was like, I just don't see this being something that I'm passionate about because I don't know anything about skincare and makeup. And she said, well, how can this opportunity help be a vehicle to help you achieve the things you are passionate about, like having time with your family and going out hiking and just that sort of thing. And I was like, okay, I just didn't respond to her. And then I told my husband, I was like, babe, I canceled coffee. And he goes, okay, well, was that an emotional decision? Like, what are you going to lose from going to coffee with this woman? And I was like, yes, it definitely was an emotional decision. And so we're like, we'll go. And she came up, and our coffee meeting turned into a schwelcome. So it was like a share welcome appointment. And came home, and she didn't even really go over much inventory at the welcome appointment because I was so like, what? Like, now we have to pay for inventory. But we went home. We really talked about it and put on our business brains. And I ended up coming in with a bulk store, which was really cool. And we ended up selling like a quarter of that in my first 2 days of business. So my first 2 days, since Michelle lived in Oregon, I just like booked up the 2 days she was going to be here. And we ended up selling like $1,800 worth of product. And that was $900 into my bank account. And I was like, that is more than I make in my entire paycheck as a barista, like part-time. So I am leaving my job. I'm taking a leap of faith. And it was really cool that we were able to do that and that I could get out of there and work out of more joy. And so over time, you know, I just fell in love with the products. And then I started building a team. of amazing women. And so the second month in my business, ended up going on Target for a car and ended up getting my first commission check, which was really fun. And then I wasn't sure how everything really worked. And I was like, we did so well in November. We got a great commission check. I'm not going to work at all in December. And when you're on Target for car, do not do that, because it's like, you went off Target for car. So I went off Target for car, and I lost all momentum. I lost all drive. I just was like, in January, I was like, I went into A3 status, and I was like, I haven't sold anything. I got to get my butt into gear and put in that activating order. But it was so hard to build up that momentum again. Like, I never want to be in that place again where I'm like stopped. And so I was even at the point where I was looking for other jobs on Craigslist, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, why am I spending so much time doing this when I could literally be spending time doing the activity and making more for myself, like working for myself instead of working for someone else? And so he just kind of kicked my butt back into gear. In the last week of January, I was like, I'm earning that bracelet. And in 2 days, earned my bracelet at the very end of the month. And I also had a coaching call with my director. And we just kind of talked about leadership, talked about the possibility of directorship. And my heart was not set before that. Like, I saw that I could be really good at this. I just was like, I don't know. And it's like, when my mind is made up, it's made up. And so we had a coaching call. We broke down commissions too. And I was like, that's really appealing, because I want to be in a house. We don't have a dishwasher right now. And I'm like, I'm done being the dishwasher. And so I was like, okay. And we just talked, and it was like, okay, well, the most strategic thing that you could do is to submit February 1st. And I'm like, what? I only have 5 team members. We have like 2 days. And I was like, okay, that's the most strategic thing. Like, here we go. And we literally did more pearls of sharing, like contacted every potential that we knew, like just went through everything. I ended up getting 1. So we got 1 new team member, which was cool, because if we didn't shoot for any, we got 0, you know? So then we're like, okay, March it is. And so worked really hard in March. I ended up bronze medaling in February. So we had like 8 active, and then February, March, April. Yes. And then went into March with 8 active. So we weren't able to submit March 1st. And I almost double gold medaled in March. So we were able to go into April so much stronger with like 14 active instead of just 10. And not only that, like, we built a very strong team. And so it was totally, I believe it was totally God's plan for us to submit April 1st instead, because we just went in with so much fire under us, and like we have so much camaraderie in my unit, my future unit, and in our team, that it was just so much fun. So we were able to submit April 1st and just worked our booties off. And we did Cadillac production in April, and my goal was like 1 month. I was like in and out, like, this is crazy. It was fun, but it was just like, okay, our schedule is going to look different while we're in DIQ, just so we can get in and out. Because fast is fun and slow is not as fun. So we almost did it. Right at the very end, we only needed 5 more active and like 3,000 production. And again, we all got together for month end, like had sticky notes everywhere of what we needed to do, and just were going to the last one, and we were not able to make it. And I was like, what? Like, my heart was so set on it. But then the Lord really, I I cried, and then I woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm through Pity City. I'm done. We're going to pick this back up, and we're going to just have so much fun this month and finish strong. And I think it was so powerful to like verbalize my goal, especially to all of our girls, because they all felt a part of it. It's like, how people are reaching out to me, how can I help? You know, how can I do this? And so many more people earn their bracelet because of that, or reach their goal. So that was really fun. And I was like, well, you know what? Like, we're just picking ourselves up and we're going forward. And I read something in the book Chase the Lion, and it talked about God maybe putting a dream on your heart that might be for somebody else. And just because I didn't hit that goal doesn't mean that, you know, another leader that I raise up or that I speak to is not going to hit that goal. And so, so that's why it's so cool to be able to do this, because now, you know, I get to talk with women and be like, okay, like, you can do it. It's totally possible. We were right there. I totally know we could have done it. And yeah, so I think the major shift for me was like my heart was completely in it, and it was for my girls too, and not only for me, but so that I could help them to succeed. And yeah, like once I made that decision that I was going for it, it just was happening. So that's a little bit of everything in a nutshell, but yeah.
Well, we are just honored to have you here. So do you guys have questions like specific that popped up that you're like, I want to know about this? Where's the medal? So gold medaling. So when you add 2 team members, it's considered a silver medal. When you add 3, it's a bronze. And then you add 5, it's a gold medal. Which I didn't know any of that until after I became a director. Yeah.
What?
And I was like, I don't know about it. Can you tell me?
What?
I said I didn't know what gold medaling meant when I became a director. And they were like, can you show me that? And I was like, what is that?
Oh, yes. And then double gold is 10.
Yes. So double.
Yes.
So tell me, so you did Cadillac production last month, which is super exciting, but I want to know how many faces were you seeing to get into DIQ? So you said you had 5 team members, and then you added 1, but then you ended up with, you added 1, and then you added a few more. I'm assuming a few went inactive. So in February you had 8 active, and then you ended with 14. So how many faces were you seeing? And how many, if you remember, how many no's were you getting during that time?
Okay. Let's see. I was seeing, before DIQ, I definitely was following the DIQ tracking sheet, and I saw probably, I mean, if there was ever a week where I just got so many no's, even though I booked like crazy, I saw at least 13 faces. And I was doing my layering, so recruiting layering very quickly. And so I had, I would pre-profile my guests, pre-profile my hostess, all before the party, so that when we got there in the one-on-one close, I just quickly answered their questions and was able to sign more people on the spot. No's, let's see, well, we ended up going into DIQ with 14 active, and I think over 20 something unit members. So there are quite a few people who either ended up getting their starter kit, didn't do anything. Yeah, things like that. So no-wise, we got a ton of no's, especially at the beginning of DIQ. It just was like one no after another after another. And at mid-month, April 15th, we were at 4,000 production and did 12,000 the last 2 weeks. So before that, though, I always book 10 to at least hold 3 or 4. Yeah, I think I try to block out most of the no's. but
you got them. Like, that's the key. You know, like we get no's and sometimes we let that be a stumbling block, but it sounds like you didn't, like, you just powered through it and were like, okay, on to the next one, results to you.
Right.
Who cares? And
Yeah.
I can tell you, Amanda has been on, we do director weekly calls, a weekly meeting, and the DIQs now get to be in on the director meetings. And so I've seen the numbers, and I had to run some of the numbers for Crystal, and she is consistently like minimum 10 faces every single week. And she's always adding team members. Like she's at the top, and you get to see her numbers, and then it's like there's Amanda again, like, you know, another team member, 5 team members, 3 team members. So it just shows that you are like not letting excuses get in the way, and just like I know where I want to be, and I'm just gonna power through that.
Right.
Do you know? I don't know if you track this, but between you and your unit members, do you know how many faces everyone saw to do that Cadillac production? Because I mean, to do Cadillac production with as small of a unit, you know, that you have, like that's a huge feat, you know.
Yeah. I would say, let's see. I maybe saw an average of 8 faces personally, but I was really working with my girls, like 8 faces per week personally. I think one week between me and some of my girls, we saw over 50 or 60 faces, and it was mostly theirs, or ours. I would say, because I have 2 girls in my unit that want DIQ before seminar, too. And so they are doing DIQ tracking. So I would say as a team, we were seeing at least probably 40 faces a week, if not more. Yeah.
Out of the girls now that are in your future unit, how many red jackets do you have? Do you have anybody go on target for their car, anything like that?
Yeah. I don't think we have any red jackets. I think that one girl is almost at her red jacket. She just needs her 3rd team member to place her order. Another girl, she's stepping into her red jacket. She's just signed. We've had 6 agreements come through for this month already, and those were all from 2 people, I think. So let's see.
Do you have a lot of girls
that are seniors? Yes, now they are. Yeah. So I feel like maybe 4 people added at least 1 team member last month. And there were like 3 people who did nothing with their business. So they didn't count towards any of the production or anything, or they just didn't do anything. So
month you ended up with being 2 shy, right? 2 people shy of finishing? Or was it 3?
5.
5. So, so out of, remind me, you have to have 24. So then how many of those are your personal team members?
I think 18 or 19. So I pretty much worked my personal business and did not really rely on my girls doing it for me. You know, I just was like, I'm working my personal business. They can come with me. They can watch me, so that they can go and duplicate it. But we had such a huge wave of new people that haven't even really started their business until now, you know.
So this is, how many, do you have your numbers done? Are you done as far as people go?
So nope, we're pretty much done with production. We need 7 active. So that's why slow is hard. But yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So other than just referrals, where are you getting the majority of your leads?
Of my leads? Okay. I think one of those people out of everybody was a referral. Referrals are not my strong lead generation method. Most of them were facial boxes. Let's see. Facial boxes, honoring working women. I don't know if anybody was from David's Bridal. Yeah. Mostly that. One was booked from a second appointment. Yeah.
So you said earlier that you were calculating your commission and stuff. So what was your commission check last month doing Cadillac production as a DIQ?
Okay. This is so depressing to me. I mean, it was good. It was like my new highest 1 month commission check of $2,000. And Michelle broke it down. And if I would have been a director doing that amount, it would have been over $7,000. And I just was like, shut the front door.
And
So,
you know, put a fire in your butt to finish this month, right?
yes. I was like, go. So, yeah.
So I'm really excited about a $2,000 commission check
Mhm.
from the activity. And then if she's a director, over $7,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and the cool thing,
You just get paid differently.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing is like a lot of those, since most of my team members in my unit are personal, when I become a director, that's like, woo. So, yeah, but they're having so much fun.
What other questions do you guys have?
What did you said Jacob's Bridal? What do you guys do at Jacob's Bridal?
I can talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay.
How do you do honoring working women?
Let's see. Well, we just did it this Tuesday. And sometimes I'll just buy candy if we can't go get roses for some reason. But me and one of my girls, we ended up going to one of our huge malls, or just a huge shopping center, and we bought 8 dozen roses from Costco. So it ended up being like $37 each or something, but like 96 roses. And we just went around and we honored all of the working women and then also moms that we saw walking around the mall for Mother's Day. And so we ended up with like 91 leads because I feel like some people just grab a rose sometimes and don't fill out their name and number. But 91 out of 96 is pretty huge. So yeah, and then we just split the leads, just went around, we're spreading joy, and it was really fun.
Can you tell us what you say to do that?
What I say? Okay. So I walk in and I just smile and I'm all bubbly. But I'm like, hi ladies, how's your day going? So I know this is really random, but my name's Amanda and my girl with me was Faith. And we're with Mary Kay Cosmetics and we're just walking around honoring all of the working women today. What color of rose would you like? And then they just like are overwhelmed with joy and they're like, oh, I want this one. And then I give it to them and I say, awesome, you also get a free facial. Here you go. And they just fill it out and I'm like, how's your day going? Like, I just really don't make it a big deal. If they're like, oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, it's just a free facial. You know, either Faith or I would be the one to contact you. It's super fun. And then I even mentioned the charcoal mask and they're like, oh yes. So I'd make a little note on their lead slip that they're interested in the charcoal mask and then they're really excited to talk to us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's just in your spot. How has your personality like changed as far as like confidence, things like that? Like, were you shy beforehand? You know, how have you grown into who you be right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like before, well, I'm naturally a very introverted person and I naturally am very shy. Like when I am not going out purposefully warm chatting, I'm like, please don't talk to me. I just want to get my groceries. But now, I don't know. I think that I've definitely grown in my confidence and my grit of just like, okay, they said no. And I literally think of what I'm offering as a stick of gum. I'm like, okay, like they said no to gum. It's okay. Because then when they say yes, like, do you guys listen to the $1 Million Message?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the one, was it yesterday when she talked about the value of a no? And she talked about like, so this week, for example, normally I don't calculate my no's, but I was so frustrated only holding like one party after booking 18 that I had like 13 no's this week. And I just was like, okay, like every no has a value. And so I'm expecting like $2,000 parties, like back to back. No, I don't know. But just being like, okay, thank you for your $10 and your $10 and your $10. So I think that my bounce back ability has grown so much, and because I used to be like a wallower and like dwell on things for a very long time, where it would get me almost into a depression. And so this has just allowed me to be like, okay, like I want to work with the people who want to work with me. You know, when they say yes, awesome. Like I'm so excited to pamper them. It's going to be worth it. And if they say no, like, okay, not a big deal. You know, I'm moving on because I just don't have time for wallowing. Okay. So that, and then I've just realized like people are so much more likely to say yes and to join your team and to even buy from you if you are just super happy and fun to be around. Because sometimes I would like look at people as a number almost, or like go through my checkbox, and people can feel that. And I'm definitely a feeler, so I wear my heart on my sleeve. And it's like people don't want to buy from you if they feel like that's all you want from them. But I'm a firm believer if you're like super fun to be around and you're just a fun person. And that doesn't mean you have to be like naturally outgoing. It's just like you're intentional with your time and the people that you're in front of, that people might just want to join your team to be in your space, you know, and to have that rub off on them. Because we live in such a negative world that like when we walked into that mall with 8 dozen roses, people were like, what, are you serious? Like, how much are they? And we're like, they don't cost anything and you can say no. We didn't say that, but I think we said that to a couple people because they were a little skeptical, but it just was like everyone smiled. And yeah, so like this month, because sometimes when we get into that almost desperation place of like, I want DIQ, or I want that car, or, you know, I want, then it's can be really a turnoff to people, because even though you're not saying that, it's like your claws are out and you're just like, give me. And instead of just having your hands being open and be like, okay, I'm trusting, you know, this is a dream that's on my heart. I know it's going to happen. I'm going to trust the process. But what I can do is do the activity, and then things will fall into place. So, yeah. Did I answer your confidence question? Sorry.
Yeah. We really appreciate you taking some time this morning. I know that you had a schedule. You've got DIQ wrap up, which I have no doubt you will do this month and beyond. You'll be like, are you trying to shoot to beat Michelle's record?
To beat what?
Are you trying to beat Michelle's record as far as earning a Cadillac faster?
I don't really know. I just want to be in Cadillac by December, and I told my husband, I'm like, we're bringing our babies home in a pink Cadillac. So that's their goal.
I have no doubt that you will get it done, because you definitely have the drive and the work ethic behind it, you know, to get that done. So we just want to thank you so much for taking the time this morning. And if there's anything you ever need in the future from me, please let me know. I'd be happy to help you out as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day, ladies.
Wait, real quick. Lisa, did you have any questions?
Oh, yes.
She's got her picture. Did you have any questions? You're muted out. At the top of the screen. There should be a mute button. A microphone. Are you on your computer or iPad?
This is when we all need to know ASL.
I know, right? Okay, well, if you have any questions, just type in the page. I added you as well, Amanda, so maybe if anybody,
Okay.
I have a couple girls that are either out of town or had parties this morning, so maybe if they just type in a question, would you maybe check back tomorrow or something and maybe respond?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.